Well, it's the return of my interviews here at the Offline House for the holiday video interview extravaganza that I'm putting out here at the end of the year. I'm joined right now by Chris Chan, who a lot of people might not know, but actually is a co-founder of Offline and has worked with Scar for quite some time. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, sort of what your role has been.
Within the house?
Yeah, the house and also just because I've known you for in League Esports for a bit now.
Yes. So I actually started off hosting viewing parties in Toronto. I met Scar because I invited him out to be a guest. And he had just retired and didn't know what to do with his brand. He just started streaming, but didn't really know how to grow as a content creator. So me, with nothing else to do, became his video editor, started editing all his videos, and I would always hit the front page of Reddit. He was really happy with what I did, so he gave me more responsibilities. I eventually started negotiating all his sponsorships and eventually became his 360 manager. Since I did such a great job with him, he recommended me to I'm a Cutie Pie, to Pokey, and to a bunch of other content creators. Started working with them. Ended up having Skype calls with Scar and my talent pretty much every single day, and eventually just decided to move down to LA. Just made sense. So Skara, Yuna, and myself. And then Pokey was looking for a place to stay in LA, so she joined our house. And it slowly dawned on us that, hey, we should start collaborating together. Yeah. A lot of times, streamers are very lonely. They stream 10 hours a day, don't have much social interaction. And we also felt that streamers are a very different type of content creator, to just sit there and play, live. But they don't really get to collaborate. They don't get to experiment with new things. All they do is play games for 10 hours a day. So we had the idea of, hey, let's start to collaborate, create some new content, and we started doing content. It didn't really work out in the beginning. A lot of misfires, and I think it took about a year until we released our first video, and then we just moved to a bigger house. I started managing Pokelaws, which I invited out to LA to collaborate with us as well. And then Fedmeister I met through Pokey. And of course, Lily, I started managing her about a year ago. Yeah. And then I invited her to the house as well. So, I saw talent, and I saw some very talented individuals that did great stuff on their own, and figured, let's just try to get together and see what comes out. And so far, it's been pretty fun.
What is it like living in the Offline house with all these guys? Because you are, a lot of these guys are pretty much in their 20s. I would guess that you are also in your mid 20s, Chris. No, I mean, you're a little older than some of these guys, right? So just a little bit. And so it's got to be, Skara had just mentioned he's used to living in gaming houses before, but this is, I mean, you got married, and then you shortly after moved your wife into a glorified frat house, right? So, yeah. So what has this experience been like for you?
It's been amazing, actually. I didn't experience the whole frat house thing when I was younger. I commuted to university, and so this was making up for those last years. And it's been a lot of fun. And to go back on my role and everything, I guess it's to I work with each person individually, which I get to in this house because I get to talk to everyone, interact with them all the time, and get to know them inside and out. But also it's my job to look after the business side of Offlinetv, and as well as paint the bigger picture. But yeah, it's like a frat house. If you've lived in a frat house before, it's exactly like that. Actually, Rebecca and I enjoy it so much because
Rebecca, your wife,
my wife, Rebecca, we enjoy it so much because I don't know. It's just you're hanging out, and then Scar finishes the stream. He just pops in and asks, "Hey, what's going on?" We just hang out, and then Lily comes in and fed and everything. So it's just it just feels like a family. So it's been just really fun. The way I like to describe it is I've never been part of a team house, but it's probably like a team house without the pressure of having to win. Yeah.
Which is a very nice team house to be in, I think. Yeah. No, I mean, that's really cool. On the other hand, I've heard it. Oh, here's one of so this dog, which has been mentioned, Lily Pichu's dog, has been mentioned in all these different videos that I've done. Unfortunately, didn't get a shot of it, but ran over here. There are a lot of elements of living in this house that, while I'm sure it's fun to have Scar pop in and say hi to you, the dog and sort of the bathroom antics of the dog, I think is a good way to put it. There's a lot of kind of craziness that goes down here. Are you kind of trying to be the stabilizing force with all that kind of stuff?
No, I'm not like a housekeeper or a nanny or anything like that. Everyone's kind of responsible for keeping track of their own stuff, even though they don't really do it. I think that you have to be very loose and relaxed if you want to live here. It's always something going on at the house, whether, you know, Pokey and Scar are streaming like 5 to 10 hours a day, and they're screaming in their rooms, so you can hear them all the time. So yeah, I think it's fine. I know the Temmie's not the cleanest dog in the world, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because in some of these interviews, you've been described, you and Rebecca, as the parents of the house. So maybe not the housekeeper by any means, but the sort of the mature, functioning adults, right?
Yes, I would say we're the most mature functioning adults in the house. We try our best to make sure that people clean up after themselves, to make sure that you know, they, I don't know, pay their bills, that rent gets paid, and like, you know, stuff in the house gets fixed. Like, yeah, I guess we've been kind of put in that position where like the mom and dad gives us practice, I guess, for our eventual kid.
Yeah. What, and not to get too personal, but you know, our Facebook friends, there's a great picture that you posted where you're holding your wife on your wedding day and you're gazing off in the distance, and you said, this was the exact moment when I realized I'd forgotten to tell my wife that I was moving her to California to live with a bunch of gaming kids. I'm sure that you guys had that conversation before, but this is a very unconventional way to transition a marriage into living this in this way. So what, I mean, you guys were in Toronto, so what has that aspect of all this been like, moving to Toronto, sort of navigating all this stuff?
Yeah, so it's been tough. Actually, when I moved down here, it was very sudden. I just told her out of the blue that, hey, I'm moving to LA. Yeah. I know we're engaged, but I'll be away for the next year before our wedding. So that was challenging. And yeah, for her to move here, she's been really like just supportive of me in everything that I do. So sorry, what's the question again?
Yeah, it's basically like, how have you navigated like you and new wife and everything living here? Yeah.
Yeah, so I navigated through this. It was actually very easy. She's always supportive of what I do. In Toronto, we've struggled a lot in the past, I guess, couple years doing events there. Yeah. I struggled a lot when I became an editor and became a manager. It wasn't until that we found our recent success that things have been a lot more smooth. Yeah. So she's been there for me from day one. So for her to come here, for her to live in the house, has actually been a very easy transition because she's supportive. Yeah. I guess is the best way to put it. But ideally, we would have our own place with our own family. So for now, Offlinetv is a family. Yeah. But we're planning to move out, although there's an off chance that we may stay in the house, depending on what new house we find.
Okay. We'll see what happens, I'm sure. So other than that, any unique challenges, any funny stories here at the house, anything that kind of, you know, Mark and Josh specifically said I should ask you about living in the house and any crazy stories, because I hear there's a ton of stuff that goes down.
I mean, specific crazy stories, nothing really. We're not allowed to have pets. We have 2 dogs.
Seems like a conflict here.
Seems like a huge conflict right now. Everyone's very meticulous in the way that they want this offline TV content to be done. Yeah. So a lot of varying opinion, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So to manage that has been an amazing challenge. Geez, I can't think of any specific funny stories, but you can see most of it on our channel anyways. Yeah. But living here is kind of like a dream, and I'm gonna miss it. It's been really great.
Well, hey, there's a lot of fans, I'm sure, that are watching this that are fans of the offline content. Is there anything that you would say to any of them, or anything you want to throw out there for all the stuff? Because, I mean, relatively new channel, right? About 6 months old. So, I mean, anything you want to say to anybody out there?
I know a lot of you fans applied to be a part of this house. Thousands of you have sent messages to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, whatever it is. And I think for you to join the house, or for you to become a content creator, you just have to try. A lot of you probably have doubts in your mind about your content, probably get very discouraged when you have 10 viewers or 100 views on a YouTube channel or video or whatever it is. But just put out whatever it is that you want to do, and you're always going to improve as you go forward. No one really knows what they're going to end up doing. You just have to start, and you eventually just naturally get there. And that's what a lot of people in this house have done. So that's the message to all the fans that want to join us. And again, thank you for supporting us. Without you guys, obviously we wouldn't be around. And 2017 has been a very experimental year for Offlinetv. We actually haven't been putting 100% into it, to be very frank. But 2018, every member here is dedicated to put a lot more time into it, a lot more resources to grow the channel and to make more content.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited for 2018 to see, what mariachi bands are going to pop up, where the wireless keyboards are going to be plugged in, who's going to smash who and pass on who. So much exciting stuff to come out. So thank you so much for the interview. Always looking forward to seeing what you guys have in store next. And for everyone else, you can check out more coverage of all things YouTube superstars on the rise right here on my YouTube channel. Wow, wasn't that interview a ride? It certainly was for me. I watched the whole thing, and as I'm filming this outro, I totally know which interview this video is being attached to. You can check out the rest of my coverage here, and check out travisgafford.com/support.